It's Pod 61, you guys, and we have Will Howells, recent history maker, Triple Crown winner. So if you don't want to hear anything else we're catching up on or talking about, just go to the chapter, listen to the interview with Will Howells, because you are not going to want to miss it. But on that note, Kristen, what are we talking about on this pre-US Open podcast?
Oh, we are going through the entire draw. We're going to break down the chances Andre and Leigh Waters have getting to the semis or farther and who might take them down.
Ooh, I love
We're
that.
We're going to break down how good we think Andre really is and talk about your layout for the rest of the US Open week, as well as
we're going to be talking about how not to become a target
Absolutely.
in mixed doubles. How do you go from the hunted to the, Kristen?
Hunter.
I love that. Was that a bow and arrow for like you're a Sagittarius?
Yes,
I love
am the hunter on a horse.
Do not miss this episode, you guys. It is Pod 61.
And we are ready to run.
Have some fun.
Eat a bun. Power bun.
Cue the music, K-Dubs.
This pickleball life. I'm K-Dubs and Jilly B is my wife. She's the pro and I've got the filler. She's sweet to me, but on the court she's a killer. Unadulterated and efficiently bringing you the best and worst things in PB. Tell your friends and stay for another. And no one loves us more than your mother. One thing's for sure, when hit and you're addicted. Grab a pile, grab a court, don't resist it. So click subscribe, let's go, let's get cracking. Theme song done, let's go, let's get laughing. This pickleball life.
If you're a Canadian who hates Americans now, or
wait, are there Canadians who don't hate Americans now?
Oh, we love our neighbor from the north, our little sister. No, I'm kidding.
Northern Colorado.
North what? No, you are your own sovereign country.
No,
okay.
In fairness, I like to call Colorado Southern Canada. That's really what it is.
We're crushing
Continue.
This intro. Okay, if you're a Canadian who recently is not loving Americans, or if you're an American who loves Americans, or if you're an American who doesn't like Americans,
or if you're a Canadian who loves Mexico,
come spend October. Is October winter yet?
It's fall until December 21st.
Okay,
the beginning of
okay,
winter.
Come spend October with us at Tres Palapas in Mexico. We have 10 spots left. I cannot believe how quickly this sold out. It's right now April 24th. People are making their decisions for October. This is a magical camp this year. We're coming back bigger and better than ever. We're doing afternoon seminars before the nightly match play on all sorts of cool topics like expert recovery. We're doing a Q&A with my MLP Coach of the Year, you guys. Scott Crandall is joining us. So yeah, if you are interested, go to jillybpickleball.com/trace. And this is crazy to say, Kristen, but there's only one more opportunity this year to come see me in California. And that is June 30th through July 1st, a 2-day camp, Newport Beach Fantasy Camp at beautiful TTC, right before the APP Newport. So come see me, train and stay and enjoy July 4th in beautiful Newport Beach and play the APP. We might have some pop-up opportunities in California. Like right now we're talking to the hub in Silicon Valley in October, but we'll keep you updated as we add some or if we add some. But right now, this June 30th is the literal last opportunity to see me in California.
And I don't know if you want to tell our pod listeners this, but if you punch your Jilly B dance card enough times, you'll get to play with her in a split age event.
That's right. I know. My split age partner, Carrie Blair. Carrie, just play the left. Take all the Ernies. I've never seen someone
take every ball.
She Ernies better than 90% of pro females for sure.
And
that's
50%
right.
of pro males.
That's right. I met Carrie, one of my students, and we're playing split age together at the US Open. Super excited about that.
Super.
And last thing, if you're not subscribed to my blog, I am doing a Monday Minute every other Monday-ish, summarizing all the things I'm like tinkering with, thinking about, learning. I think it's insightful. And guess what? If you don't, you can unsubscribe. So head to jillybpickleball.com.
So we've had a little bit of a viral week this week, Jill.
Started with this mixed video. I don't even know if you can call it mixed. I'm playing with 3 6-0 plus guys. So semi-mixed.
This is why Duper is genderless.
And I Bert across the court from my male partner. So I'm on the right and I hit a drive and then I poach in front of him and you do an Ernie, but not from the opposite direction from where you came. And that is called a Bert. And we do this post and we say like, look, women in mixed doubles, if all you're trying to do is not miss a dink, not pop up a ball, not get in the way of your male partner, congratulations, you just follow the recipe on how to become a total target in mixed doubles. So you can be the hunter or you can be the hunted. Yeah. You can be the threat or you can be threatened.
You can be the predator or you can be the prey.
We can keep going. We're just getting started. And I see so many of these, quote unquote influencers, these female influencers making videos about like, yeah, like be solid, don't miss, don't pop up. And I'm like, well, first off, you taught me this. Never think in terms of don't do something.
Yes, every golf psychology book or sports psychology, I should say, starts with the fact that your brain doesn't hear the word no or don't or can't. It only hears the phrase. So if you say don't go in the water, guess what? You're thinking about the water. Don't miss, you're thinking about missing. So what you want to say instead is what you want.
Yeah.
I'm going to hit the corner of the kitchen. I'm going to return it deep. I'm going to plow through it. Whatever it is that you are focused on that day for that shot, just see the shot you want.
Yep.
Not the shot you don't want.
So don't miss a dink. That's exactly how I miss a dink. And I don't miss a lot of dinks.
100%.
So I make dinks when I think about my target, where I want the ball to land before I've even hit it. So, or just as I'm making contact, I'm thinking, here's where I want it to land. Here's where I'm visualizing.
Yeah. I always tell people there's only 2 things in golf you can't overthink. And that is focused on your target and feeling and sensing the club in your hands. And I do think that applies to pickleball.
And I have to thank Andre Agassi for this because before I played with him, and so I'd been playing pro pickleball for almost a whole year before I played with him for the first time. And I was just like a lot of these female influencers on Instagram and TikTok who are like, just be solid. And he was the one who was like, hey, you get a high ball, ruin the guy's confidence. If you can ruin his confidence early, like that helps us the entire match. So he was all about like, go for it. And so it's a blend, right? But you don't want to be passive. And look, it took me a long time to learn that. It really did. It really did.
Yeah, it has to get past the thinking and into the sensing and the trusting.
Yeah.
And that's been a fun journey for me in pickleball as well, as finding that inner beast and being like, I don't care that I'm playing with a dude who's a foot taller than me and hits the ball harder than me. Like the right shot is the right shot.
Well, so I was just going to say, and if you're listening to this as a left side right-handed male who plays mixed, guess what? You should want your right side female partner to take on the gentleman in front of her on the appropriate ball, because guess where the ball then usually funnels? Straight back to your forehand. That's exactly what you should want.
So do you feel like as a general like 3-5-4-0 level court positioning guideline, wherever the ball is, you should imagine that the court is basically the middle and that side. The most likely shots are whichever line the ball is on, cover that line and the middle. Yeah, and if they somehow pull out an ALW crazy angle on you, good for them. Yep. But more likely than not, that is going to be a miss.
The single biggest mistake I see up until about the 4-5 level is trying to cover the whole court.
Yeah.
You are in a constant state, or you should be in a constant state of giving up one angle on the court, because that means you're covering the 2 high probability angles that are going to occur.
And you will be amazed at when you get 1 foot over that center splitting tee, how many balls end up right on your paddle.
Right on your paddle.
It is shocking. And I think that's so much of pickleball IQ is like so many of the smart things in pickleball seem like a bad idea at first.
I just think it all comes back to movement. So many people ask me, how do I earn you? How do I earn you? I'm like, follow the ball. The ball will tell you when to earn you. Like get your torso, get your center mass literally in line with wherever the ball is. So when it's on a sideline, someone should be at least starting to move, starting to fake the earning even.
Exactly. So back to...
So let us know your thoughts. If you are a female who feels like they've been playing really passive, drop it in the comments. Drop it in the comments if you want to work on this. And if you are a female who's kind of journeyed like I have and become more aggressive and that's helped you, drop it in the comments. Like, tell us what's helped you be the best mixed doubles player you can be. And men too. How do you work and encourage your partner? What type of partner do you like playing with? We also did a post specifically on the Anna-Leigh, Catherine breakup and Anna-Leigh playing with Anna Bright. And I wanted to clarify one thing, because I think some stuff got lost in translation. The crux of our post was really, are 1 and 4 stronger than 2 and 3? So is Anna-Leigh number 1 with a number 4 player, whether that's Tyra, Catherine,
Tina,
Rachel,
Etta, Jackie Kawamoto,
are 1 and 4 stronger than 2 and 3? And in my mind, 2 and 3 is Anna Bright and Georgia. And I think the answer to that is no.
Yeah.
So I think it's smart that Anna-Leigh takes the biggest threat, Anna Bright, and brings her in.
Right.
That makes sense.
Which, by the way, the true 4 probably is Catherine, who she's been playing with. So really, this is just the number 1 player in the world saying, I'm the number 1 player in the world. I'm done with number 4 and I'm ready to take number 2. The better question is, A, why didn't she choose Anna Bright to begin with? We went through this already.
I think that's super easy to answer.
Mm-hmm. And you know where I'm going with this?
No.
What's best for Anna Bright? And is there some other reason why Anna-Leigh is making this move other than just like creating the best team on the court? So, in other words, we're not saying that we think Anna Bright and Anna-Leigh Waters are going to do poorly. No. I'm sure they're going to win pretty much all of their matches. I think the other question is, what would be the worst player Anna-Leigh Waters could play with and still win most of her matches?
It's a fascinating conversation.
Right? We saw her play with Mari Humberg all year last year.
Georgia.
No, in MLP.
Oh, yeah. Thank you.
So how many matches did Mari Humberg lose with Anna-Leigh Waters?
Mm-hmm.
Any other cleaning house? Do you want to hear some of our pod listener opinions?
Yeah.
Mayo YouTube, M0Y0 YouTube says, I'm disappointed that AB is playing with ALW. I can remember AB's face during a post-match interview when ALW was asked who she was picking between the two of them, and she picked CP. It was awkward, and you could tell AB was hurt. ALW has no loyalty, and she's trying to neutralize a player that could beat her. Very sad. Stewie Griffin says, I hate that AB joined ALW. Such a terrible move for her and the sport. Rachel and AB were a great team, pushing the quote-unquote unbeatable number 1 team, proving they could be beaten. And if Tyra at some point commits to Paris or Georgia, AB is ALW's only choice. Again, I think that she could choose anyone, and she's still going to win with almost anyone. The question is, why AB, and is that the best thing for Anna Bright? Carrie Fan says, I think it all boils down to money and legacy. My guess is that the decision had more to do with ALW's management team, aka mom, than anything else. It truly does feel like ALW and CP had a genuine friendship. Yes, ALW and CP were about as dominant as could be, but cracks were starting to show, and it became clear their opponents were targeting CP relentlessly. Well, yeah, whoever's on the court with Anna-Leigh Waters is probably going to see more balls. To CP's credit, she would often hold the fort as well as she could, but with 2 very fresh and recent losses, the writing was on the wall. He goes on, but you get the idea. So thanks for your input. Yeah. We always like the insight of our listeners. We think you are the smartest listeners out there.
Yeah, whether you agree or disagree with us.
Yeah,
I love seeing the opinions.
For sure. I almost wore my Hessikor shirt today as an homage.
Your Hessikor shirt? You mean the one that says Jilly B on the back that I just cleaned and hung to dry?
Speaking of sharing clothes.
I've been wondering where that little ditty is, KW.
I will have very soon a super fun video unveiling the 3 ways to install a Hessikor.
Yeah.
But whichever way you chose, it's always a better pickleball experience with a Hessikor in your hands.
Agree. You guys check out shop.hessikor.com. Use code JillyB if you want to play better, feel better, have a better grip, and prevent pickleball elbow. Speaking of Hessecore, you guys, we have some Hessecore winners.
That's right. I reached out and heard from 2 out of the 3, but I am still waiting to hear from Wayfaris. That must be someone in Washington because it's Wafarris. So if that's you, look at your YouTube comments and reach out to us.
How do you know it's not Wafarris? I'm that person who sees license plates and like she can figure out the license plate pun right away. And I'm sitting there like being literal with it.
I don't know. This is also the same person who once went into a doctor's office and saw a woman in the doctor's office with a name tag whose last name was LVN. And I said, Livin, what is that, Czechoslovakian?
Doesn't that mean like something nurse?
LVN is like licensed, verified nurse. All of the nurses of our pod listeners are rolling right now.
I love it.
They are skipping. But yeah, so I'm not so smart. But our other winners are David Mosier and Stan Lipnowski. Congratulations. You've got Hessecores coming your way.
Kristen, let's do a U.S. Open preview. We have Andre Agassi playing with Leigh Waters. And not only that, they're not playing split age, which is what we had assumed when we first heard the news. No, they are playing mixed pro doubles. And not just that, they are actually the number, what seed?
I think the 2 seed.
They are the number 2 seed. Wild.
Only 2 teams to get a bye.
So let's go ahead and take a look at their half of the draw. I am not in their half of the draw. Who are some teams you see in their half of the draw that you think could take them down? And by the way, what do you think of Andre Agassi in general? Like, what's his duper? You watched a video of him last night. Does the guy stand a chance?
Yeah. So first of all, I've been told is somewhere close to a 4.8 or 4.9. Duper has him pegged at a 5.4. I think somewhere in the middle lies the truth. He is in a video with Chris Olsen, who we know is 3.5 at best. No, I'm just kidding. Those are his own words, his own joke. But point being that he and his brother Isaac were like hanging right in there. I think Isaac was better. Chris was maybe slightly worse. And they're right around that 5.0 range now.
So he's like a lower end female pro.
Yeah, he's a middling female pro. Plus the legs of how old is he? 60-year-old? In his half of the draw, I think definitely Richard and Riley are the biggest threat, and Shelby and Grayson would be right behind them.
Well,
but I think
their first round is
one
probably
of them
their first round is going to be a tough round. I mean, Ben Newell and Glauca Carvajalen, those are good players on any given day. I think they could beat Leigh Waters and Andre Agassi.
Brendan Long, Martina Frantova. Sorry, not to cut you off.
That's a team that could beat them. They also have Shelby Bates and Grayson Golden. I think it'll be Shelby Bates and Grayson Golden or Richard Livernese and Riley Boner. I think either of those teams not can beat Leigh Waters and Andre Agassi. I think they will beat Leigh Waters and Andre Agassi.
Okay, next question. Will he play right or left?
Insanity if he does not play right.
I think they might play straight up.
Okay, yeah, and get a feel for like, there is something to be said about put the weaker player in front, not in front of the left side player. Like there's something to be said about that.
Well, I'm just thinking Ernie's, right? Like these guys we're talking about, Richard, Grayson, they Ernie a ton.
Yeah.
So whose Ernie are they going to be Ernieing?
Yeah, that's really well said.
Whose dink are they going to be Ernieing?
Yeah.
So
Does Andre know enough to be pulled out and then hit a dink that is Ernie preventable? Like that is like a really, really hard skill.
So what do you think are his biggest strengths? Because to me, it's like there's still hands and there's class, there's touch. But I think as the game has evolved to be more power, there's only so far that's going to take him. Right. And I don't think he has the ability to overpower much of anyone in the field the way a Grayson or a Richard can.
Interesting. Yeah. I wonder let's talk about what would the strategy be to beat them? Because sometimes Scott Crandall, my coach and MLP coach of the year, he always says, Jill, you don't need to beat both opponents. You just need to beat one. But how do you play keep away from Leigh Waters?
Right.
Sometimes that's like what that left side player, that dominant player wants. Yeah, they want to be able to go hunt the ball. Sometimes you got to keep them honest. So like, what is the strategy? I think the play would be to drive every third at him. I watched that Chris Isaac, like glimmers of it last night. And I noticed that driving at Agassi, even when he was stable, he's still caught in that like tennis volley world. Whereas, as we know, because you watch all of my content, you guys, the way to beat a banger is you've got to meet the ball in front of you. And then what do? You have to actually swing. You have to swing.
Yeah.
So if Agassi's just going to chip that, it's going to be a super easy fifth, or he might miss them. So I think that lends itself really nicely to Grace and Golden being the ones to take them down.
Yeah, no question. The other thing I was going to say is it would be really interesting to see them actually play mixed split age.
Yeah.
So I haven't double checked, but I haven't been told by anyone that they're going to do that.
Split age.
But that would be really interesting.
Who's going to take them down in mixed split age? Jill Braverman and Scott Fliegelman. I'm just kidding.
I was going to say,
love you, Fleegs.
He and, Beth Bellamy could be a huge threat. He and Sherry Corder could be a huge threat in senior, pro pickleball. But I just think it's going to be interesting to see how far they make it. And I don't know if they're going to make it to the semis.
So you guys can actually see the draws. They're out. You go to pickleballden.com. You need to log in, find the US Open. And I think it'll say like pending draws, but you can click that and see the draw. Click that and click view matches to see the draw.
Your sister just texted me that she figured it out. So if Naki can figure it out,
you guys
can too.
Can figure it out. So let us know what you think. How are they going to do, Annalee and Agassi? And who do you think is going to be the one to take them out? And what do you think the strategy is? Because I'm feeling third shot drive at Agassi, fifth shot, take it in the air and just pressure. See if you can get him backing up and just take Annalee completely out of it.
Yeah, I did see him backing up a lot.
Yeah.
First of all, the one and only most important thing about the US Open is our housing. We are so excited to meet Mel and Tim. We've heard so much about them.
Thank you, Mel and Tim.
And we have C's Candy. Spoiler alert, we are bringing in tow.
And they have a private court. Yay.
And if anyone else...
we really only stay at homes with private courts this year, guys. And that's only funny.
Friends of Gwen.
Because it's true. Not on purpose. Speaking of housing, the Los Angeles APP got rescheduled. It got canceled.
You might be wondering, is it in Thousand Oaks? Is it in San Francisco? Is it in Rancho Cucamonga? No,
it's in Michigan, you guys.
The natural next choice.
Yeah, that was the natural next choice.
The Upper Peninsula. No, I'm just kidding. It's like a city in Texas.
Okay, it's called the APP Great Lakes Open. It's being held in Midland, Michigan.
There we go. The other city in Texas.
You guys are looking for two guests who will probably usurp part of your house to do a podcast, but they will bring C's Candy, and you live in or around Midland, Michigan, or you have a friend or a friend of a friend or someone you met on Craigslist, let us know. You can drop it in the comments or email us, thispblife@gmail.com.
But yes, we will be excited to actually play the US Open with not only a reprieve of reprisal. What's the word I'm looking for? Round 2 with Mark Dancourt.
Reprisal works.
Okay.
Yes.
Mark Dancourt and of course Megan, but not only that, split age with Carrie Blair and Scott Fliegelman.
So fun.
Who we will also be seeing for the Boulder Pickleball Clinic as previously stated. So looking forward to seeing our pod listeners who are going to the US Open.
Yes, please. If you're going to the US Open, say hi to us. In fact, we're going to set out some time on Saturday. I don't know if that's too early, but if you're there on Saturday, we are setting aside a whole hour just to meet podcast listeners. So
we will be on a court with our smoke paddles, doing some demos, doing some photos, doing some meet and greets, more details to come. But I, more importantly, was going to say, if you're a true pod listener and you want to reveal how much of an insider you are, please come up to me, K-Dubs, and ask if I am Jill's mother.
No.
Then I'll know.
No. If you want to make me really happy, please go up to Kristen and say, can you stop interrupting Jill in the podcast? I would love you forever. Okay, speaking of the US Open, you guys, I have a concept for a new YouTube series where I go to tournaments, and then at the tournament, I will ask a player to demo on court their best shot and like walk me and my audience through what they're thinking when like Will Howells hits his chip perfect third shot drop or his backhand drive. So help me think of two things. Help me think of a name for this series. I used AI, my best friend Claude, and here's some that I like. Option number 1, TPL Technique Labs, like this Pickleball Life Technique Lab. The Pros Playbook with Jilly B, option 2. Option 3, TPL Court Confidential. I really like that one. Or option 4, Pickle Perfect with Jilly B. So not only tell me which of those 4 you like, or it's also like Court Confidential or Kitchen Confidential.
I do love alliteration.
I do too. Okay, option 5, Court Confidential / Kitchen Confidential, 5 A and B. So not only tell me which name you like, but tell me some players that you've been interested in. Like, do you want to learn what Chris Hayworth thinks about or visualizes when he hits a drive, right? You know, one of the best singles players in the world, if not the best. Let us know who you want us to interview first.
Today we have the #1 male and mixed player on the APP Tour, a top collegiate tennis player from Notre Dame, MLP star of the New Jersey Fives, and most recent Triple Crown winner. For those of you who do not know what that is, that's where you win all 3 events in one tournament, a very rare feat. We're joined today by our friend Will Howells. Will, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
You forgot son of Elizabeth and Hank. It's very important.
The best.
The best.
The best.
I love
The
your
best
parents.
And great girlfriend.
There's something
Yes.
about your mother's Virginia accent that just like puts me at ease. I'm like, you're right, Elizabeth. Everything is going to be okay.
Will,
You
when
feel
we
that-
played at the beginning of the year together, I didn't know if I liked playing with you more or I just liked your parents more. It's like when you're dating someone and you don't know if you just like their family or them.
Totally.
Oh, they're awesome. They're super supportive.
Yeah,
I'm
no,
lucky.
they-
I'm very lucky.
Sometimes instead of watching the two of you, I would just watch their faces while you were playing. And it's just as entertaining.
It's
So
funny
great.
because they're very different too. Like my mom is like she will not say a word while I'm playing. And then my dad is like chatty Cathy over there. He'll be talking people's ears off.
100%.
I love it.
In golf, you used to have like that one parent who would stay with the kid and watch them hit. And the other parent would be out in the fairway, like 250 yards away.
You're nervous.
The parents had to be separate because if they were together, it was like a nervous wreck.
Yeah. No, that's them. They're they sit separately when I'm playing, but they're both there.
So I have 1,000 pickleball related questions for you. But as I was writing them out, I realized I have never talked to you about you, the human outside and before pickleball.
Will
tell us.
Leigh Howells, the origin story.
So
All right.
tell us about your background before pickleball.
Yeah, so I grew up in Richmond, Virginia. Actually, everyone thinks I'm from Florida, but I grew up in Richmond, Virginia until I was about 13. Played tennis my whole life. And when I was 13, I moved down to Florida and I lived a year on my own in Florida with a host family going to an academy. And then my parents, you know, the supportive parents that they are, they decided to jump ship and move down. They kind of it was both retirement and move down for me. So it was a nice little combination of the two. And I finished out my high school doing online school actually in South Florida. Then went to Notre Dame. Played tennis all 4 years there. Through the COVID situation, so one of my years was cut short. And then after that, I graduated, went to Milwaukee, and I worked for an alcohol distributor. And then moved back down to Florida. Still working for an alcohol distributor. Moved into a management position. But when I moved down to Florida, I started playing pickleball, and that's really when I started, February 2023.
Wow. So you were in Milwaukee working for, was it Gallo Wines? Is that right?
Yeah, so I was in a leadership development program through Gallo, but I worked on the distributor side, so Gallo is the supplier side.
Okay. Gotcha. So basically, like all elite athlete college graduates, you were like straight to sales.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Let's go. Let's
Yeah.
compete for something.
That's a
Yeah.
really fun
The
job.
corporate.
I have friends in that CPG beverage business, and it's like a
Yeah.
lot of playing golf. Admit it.
oh yeah. Well, that's when you advance. You know, I was still like I was a sales rep and then lower level management. I wasn't quite to the point where I was playing golf a couple times a week, but
You were ready.
we had a ways to go.
What is your handicap?
Not good.
Okay. All right. We'll work on
20.
it.
I'd say I'm a bogey golfer,
Okay. There's a few elite
but I play
golfers.
like once a year, so it's not terrible.
It's a good amount of golf.
Yeah.
So, Will, the Triple Crown is super rare. Like 10 people have done it across both tours. Was the Triple Crown something you had on your bingo card for 2025?
We get asked a lot as lesbians if we share clothes. And I think we used to when I wasn't playing competitively and I was a little thinner, because you're thinner than me, believe it or not.
I draw the line at shoes and crop tops.
What about underwear?
I was gonna say that, but I didn't know if we wanted to go there.
We don't
in
share.
The pod.
We don't share intimates. But there is one thing that I've noticed Kristen has been creeping into my side of the closet and stealing. Can you guess what that is?
Is it blue?
It's blue.
Does it start with an L?
It starts with an L.
Leggings by Leo Reve.
She is stealing my Leo Reve leggings, and it is causing, with the core conflict of our relationship is I can't find my leggings. So, Kristen, why do you keep stealing my leggings?
They just fit so darn good, look so darn great. And after I wear them, I feel like I haven't even played.
Yeah.
And it's so drastically noticeable when I then go play without them.
I know.
And I will be like running back for a lob and I'll be like, my legs are tired. What is this?
It's like a hug for your legs. So Leo is a proud sponsor of this podcast, and we are proud to have them. So if you love this podcast and you want to support us and help yourself in the process, check out leoreve.com. Use code JillyB.
Was the Triple Crown something you had on your bingo card for 2025?
Yeah, that was definitely, it was something I was looking for, and I know the difficulty of it. It was an amazing moment. Last year I'd done the cycle, so I'd won singles, mixed, and men's, but I hadn't done it all in one tournament. And I knew it'd be super difficult because of how much of a toll it takes on your body and obviously how good all of the other players are. So it was incredible to be able to get it done.
So you came close with me in Daytona. And did you learn anything from having not achieved it in Daytona to getting it done 2 tournaments later? So you won men's in Daytona. We lost mixed in the finals and you lost singles.
Yeah, I mean, there were a couple things. The first one was I was very, very focused on taking care of my body throughout the tournament.
What does that
so
mean for you?
Yeah, what does that mean?
Well, when I was playing in Daytona, I had actually I was struggling with like knee issues. I know you probably remember that.
Yeah.
When we were playing, my knee was bugging me. And I've been doing a lot of PT for it, ice baths, recovery focused, and especially throughout the tournament, nutrition was very, very important. And I've been fighting off the knee actually ever since. It's still been bugging me.
Yeah.
But that was one thing, was making sure I'm taking care of my body because of how tough it is on your body to play. I think it's 15 matches that I played at the fort. And then the second thing is, on that Sunday when I was playing with you in Daytona, I was really caught up in like, oh my gosh, I might Triple Crown.
Yeah.
I have this opportunity to, like basically make history. But
Yeah.
like it's just like an amazing opportunity to do something that not so many people have done. And I was focused on that. I was thinking about, oh my gosh, like I could do this.
Yeah.
Like, this could be an incredible feat. And I wasn't focused on like when I go through my, how disciplined I am in my matches and focused on like, each point, each individual point and executing. And when I was playing at the fort, I was like, I'm just gonna let go of this thought of Triple Crowning, and I'm gonna take every match as it is, every final as it is, like I normally do, and separate that out from the fact that I could Triple Crown. And I think that helped a lot. I was able to play at my highest level. I felt like I played great in singles. We had a little hiccup in men's, but we played a really solid match there too, and I felt great in mixed as well. So I think taking that approach versus like getting caught up in the moment, getting caught up in the results, helped me a lot.
Yeah, we were just on the phone with one of Jill's other partners for the future and talking about you always hear this cliche as an athlete, like stay in the present, stay in the present. And I think for everyone at one point in your athletic career, the feeling of what it truly is like to be in the present finally strikes you and you're like, oh, this is what they've been talking about this whole time. Like not writing the headlines before it's over, not worrying about the bad shot you just hit before that. You're just seeing and experiencing and existing inside of the moment that you're in. And it's not something that's always easy to capture like lightning in a bottle, but when you can, it is quite quite immersing, so to speak. So it's really, really impressive that you got to do that like
Thank you.
almost back-to-back tournaments. So there was
Yeah.
Daytona, then Sacramento, and then, think about Rory McIlroy. He had to live with that monkey on his back for 14 years. It took you like 14 days. We ready.
It was, yeah. I mean, impressive that Rory was able to come back after so long and accomplish that feat. That's incredible.
So one interesting thing about that, as a tangent for all of our listeners who like golf or don't, because I think this is relevant, Rory opened up the tournament on Thursday, blew up. He had 2 double bogeys, just an awful first round. So when he misses his putt on Sunday on 18 to just win the tournament, and he's going into the playoff, his caddy says this to him: "Hey, bud, on Thursday, if someone told us we were going into a playoff to win it, we would have taken this and been really happy." And he said that was like a total mental reset for him. And I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Another thing to note about being in the present is whenever you are doing something for the first time, say, whether it's me being in all 3 finals or anyone watching, whether they're in a certain moment that they haven't been in before, it's much more difficult to be in the present in those moments. You make a final for the first time. You're like, oh my gosh, I'm in a final. Like, I could actually win this. It's very, very difficult when you're doing something for the first time. When you make main draw for the first time, when you win your first qualifier round, like when you do that, it's harder to stay in the present after those moments or in those moments because it's the first time you've ever been in that position. So, when you're there, sometimes you just have to forgive yourself if you're not.
Yeah.
Yeah. If we were to do a little bit more rewind, we met you for the first time, at least for me, in Sacramento of last year.
Oh, Sacramento. Yes.
Yeah,
But
before Delray.
Fayetteville and Delray.
Yeah. You and Yana played against Jill and Andre and Delray.
Oh, yeah.
But the
That was a good
prior
match.
week, we were hanging with the Johnsons because Jill was playing with Georgia, and you're obviously in their orbit, and you were playing with JW that week. And I think you had just started playing maybe 6 months before that, APP tours.
Yeah,
And then
about that.
you were in the finals with J-Dub. You ended up with the silver, and you were in the finals for singles, I think, that week. And I was like, wow, Will Howells, he's here to make a statement. But I remember watching you play with JW at Sacramento and looking at the player we see on the court now, feels like 2 different humans. Do you feel that way too? Or do you feel like you've always been the same, confidence level, the same belief in your ability?
I think that I've become definitely more confident after, playing all the top guys and, being able to beat a lot of the top guys. I think that throughout this year, I'm playing more free, and I feel like I've also my game is more complete. I don't think there are a lot of clear holes in my game where at that point, one thing that Gabe and Andre did in that match, and I was on the right, so it was a little bit different for me than normal. They just pinned me in the corner and made me hit forehanding. Which now I feel like, I've worked on those areas where I felt like there were holes in my game. So I feel more complete and definitely more confident with the experience I've gained.
And a really different attitude. So it's funny you asked this question because I had this question on my list as well, which was when I played you in Delray, you were like a tennis player coming out of college. It felt like I was like, oh my God, this guy fist pumping every point, screaming like he's going to be tired after this match. He's got 4 more matches after this. Talk to us about coming from tennis and any attitude or mental shifts that you had to make or change. Because when I think back to Will Delray versus Will now, those are very different attitudes to me.
Yeah. I mean, that's something my encore personality has changed a little bit. I was a lot more verbal at the start. And I think that was more of a fake it until you make it kind of thing, right? You display that outward belief in yourself. And it comes to fruition. You become confident in yourself when you display that. And now, I have that within me. I'm not as loud. I'm more just calm, composed, and confident on the court rather than I don't know how to describe it. I was just loud.
Yeah.
It was something you saw with Christian Alshon as well. He came in, he made a big statement with the way that he played on the court, and the way that he was also like loud college tennis player, that kind of bravado. And he's calmed down. He looks confident on the court. It's a similar thing, I would say.
Yeah, no, it's, I think, a very important energy regulation, like Jill said, but also the ability to change that intensity as you need it, right? Sometimes you need to tap into that warrior mode more than other modes.
Yeah.
And seeing that ability to change sort of focus and modes and loudness and
I'd probably the hardest part
your-
about pickleball to me,
Yeah.
not hitting shots, not execution, like bringing the right energy at the right time.
Oh, it's tough. It's tough. And it's so important for your partner too.
Yeah.
Being able to like play your best is important, but also being able to like maximize your partner's ability is super, super important.
And I think that is sort of the evolution. When you start playing, you're just trying to be your best. And as you become your best, you realize, well, my team's best is dependent on what can I do to bring up this other player on the court with me,
Yeah.
and adjusting what you need that maybe makes you not quite as good, but your best -2 plus making your partner their best equals a greater sum. So it's really interesting to see
Yeah.
which players are more self-centered and more
Mm-hmm.
partner-centered. Really kind of points at a lot of the best players in this sport. Do you feel that way?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So speaking of on-court presence, there's a lot of different mentalities going into strategy and mid-court adjustments. What's your process for figuring out what you need to bring to a match?
I would say you start with like a baseline strategy that you have. But the biggest thing that you're gonna hear is you need to play this way for these people. But I think that you need to have an identity to your game first. So you should have like your core strengths that you're gonna try to utilize, and then you play to use those strengths against the opponent you're using. Or you're playing, sorry.
So
You're playing.
basically you're saying, I'm going to play my game until they force me to adjust. Because if I want to play my game and it's working, I don't need to adjust. I don't need to change anything. I'm just going to keep doing what I want, make them play my
Yeah,
game.
or even try to use their weaknesses to play to your strengths.
Mm-hmm.
Basically hitting shots that you think create the balls you want to see.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, that's well said. So what might that look like? Hitting to the left player's left foot, or trying to hit drives through the weaker player? What kinds of things are you looking at?
So one of the things that I've asked my mixed partners to implement, Jill, you probably heard me say this a lot, is playing the middle of the court, right? A lot of girls will get stuck in that cross court pattern. But me, I'm looking to get my backhand. I want my backhand involved to attack the girl in front of me. And if you can get the guy stepping over and hitting that inside out forehand to my backhand, then it opens up the ability for me to attack with my backhand. So that would be something like, normally you're going to say, play the pattern to the other girl. She might be the weaker player on the court. But I would say, I actually want you to get the guy involved so I can get involved more too.
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
No, I mean, obviously, when you and Jill have a conversation, you're speaking on a higher level. I'm obviously trying to catch up our listeners to some of what you two already know inherently. But a lot of times, what you see in mixed doubles is that guy taking so much of the middle. So does hitting more balls to the guy and the angles that he has towards you actually make it easier for you to stay in the middle, versus if you see a lot of cross-court dinks to the girl, then she has the ability to so-called keep you honest and have to cover that line more?
Yeah,
Is that kind
for
of what
sure.
you're saying? Okay. Yeah, that's it's only good if you know you can trust your hands, right?
Yeah,
And that
gotta trust the hands.
that opens up all sorts of strategies, right?
Actually, I love that. I have a question for you on that topic. If you can only bring one skill
To the desert island.
to a match, only one thing is on, what would you want to be on?
Like, I'm only allowed to hit one shot?
No, like
Or like
Like your drops are off, your drives are off, your serves are off, your hands are off.
everything's terrible except for one thing.
everything's trash that day except one thing. What do you want?
Oh gosh. How do you even win a match?
That's the question. Which
You
one
you can't
skill?
you
Well,
can't win a
sum
match.
it all.
well, your partner, you have a partner. So maybe your partner's doing a lot of good stuff, but you can only bring one skill.
I guess the skill I would bring would be partner encouragement.
Yes.
That is the most like hacked the game we were trying to play with you answer, Will.
I would say hands, because it's like if I'm seeing the ball well, but I
Yeah, I
can't
mean,
dink and I can't do X, Y, Z, like
Just
my
start the
partner
fight.
can take the drops, I could get in and just start the fight. Like that's what I would say. What do you think?
it's probably the best one. I mean, maybe like it's good to be able to. I would say dink, but like if you can't drop or reset, you're not gonna be able to dink.
Right. And if you can drop but you can't dink,
But I
why
guess
do
I'm
you,
just
why
getting
even
out
get
of
to
the
the
way for
kitchen?
drops.
Yeah, you're staying out of the way.
I'm getting out of the way.
All right, Will, you told me something that left me like gobsmacked in Daytona. You told me you really don't practice more than 90 minutes a session. Tell us what your weekly practice schedule looks like in a non-tournament week.
Okay, yeah. So right now it's been very, very like laid back because I haven't been practicing a ton because of my knee. But normally, yeah, I'd probably do like one a day, then two a day, one a day, two a day, alternating, just so you like load heavy, then you load off, load heavy,
And no
making
days
sure you
off?
optimize. Hmm?
No days off?
I'll do like 5 to 6 days a week, probably 6, depending if I'm coming off of a tournament, I'll take 2 or 3 days off. Unless it like the fort, I took the entire week off.
Okay.
But the reason I only do 90 minutes, and this is something I see with like a lot of people, is when you get past that point, it's just like diminishing returns.
Mhm.
If you're giving 100% for 90 minutes, you're probably not going to be able to continue playing at 100% past that without some sort of recovery. Because the game is very physical, and if you're playing the right way with the right amount of like physicality, then you should be pretty beat up after 90 minutes.
Yeah.
And after that point, like if you play 90 minutes, then you take a couple hours off, play 90 more
Yeah.
minutes. That's representative of what you're going to do in a tournament.
100%.
You're not going to be playing 2.5 hours straight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I played 3.5 hours straight yesterday, literally no breaks. I thought about you and how dumb it was what I was doing. And I was in so much pain last night. I could barely sleep. That's why I was late to our interview
How was the
today.
quality though? Like towards the end of the session, did it start to diminish?
I think, of course, naturally, everyone starts to
Yeah.
get a little tired. I did feel like because I've been on a little bit of a rest for the past couple days, I felt like I was pretty fresh. My legs were pretty fresh, but I
Okay.
paid for it last night for sure.
Hope you're feeling better today.
Today's an Aga day.
Today's a Will interview day.
Yeah.
We'll be golden tomorrow then.
I'm
Let's
gonna
go.
be golden tomorrow. Totally. How much drilling versus gameplay? And if you're doing a 2 a day, is it 2 a day games, one drill, one game?
It's probably half and half. 2 a day would be, yeah, one drill, one game. Also, I probably do fitness 3 times a week and then see a PT depending on how I'm feeling.
So you're 50-50 gameplay and drilling. Okay. You're probably like the only pro I've met that's 50-50, but probably because you have so many high level players in your around your area in South
Is that
Florida.
higher for gameplay, you would say?
Yeah, I hear like just 80% drilling, 70% drilling.
Really?
I feel like everyone thinks they drill more than they do, though.
Probably.
Like that's like one of the
Yeah.
self perpetuating prophecies or something. No, there's a better phrase for that. But when you like want to think you drill, and it feels like drilling, you feel the time more when you play games. I feel like you're like, oh my god, it's
It
been
kind of
3
flies,
hours.
yeah.
How much, when you're playing games in practice, how much are you going for new stuff, implementing new skills versus trying to play as close to how you would play in a match?
So one of my, that's a tough question to answer. You want to balance it. One of my biggest things is that winning is a skill. So I am like dichotically disciplined when I'm playing in practice. So I don't love to implement new things. There aren't a ton of new things that I'm implementing into my game at this point. They're mostly micro adjustments that like I feel like I could change. But in general, I would say I'm not implementing a lot of new things because I'm so focused on actually winning the games and playing the right way like every point. It's super important to me because if you're able to like like winning is a skill. I really believe that. Like if you're able to consistently win in practice, it bleeds into your matches.
So I don't know if this is an unfair question, but obviously you had a great run last year on the fives with Annalise, Zane, and Mari, and made it all the way to the finals, and that didn't go your way, and a lot of people were surprised. What, if anything, did you take away from that experience, and how has that shaped your
Great
year this year?
question, KW.
You know, like it sucked. It was tough, but I think we were all really proud of how we left it on the court. That was a really tough weekend. We had an incredible season. We played um basically peak performance all year, I would say. We didn't really have any like lapses in our game, losses of focus, and that one it didn't go our way, and that happens. That's part of sports. They're obviously Dallas is an incredible team. They have
Incredible.
4 great players. They were super tough, and yeah, it was really tough. But we go back to the drawing board. We come back, and we're ready to play again this year. I mean, that's the biggest thing. Like chip on the shoulder, kind of go after it.
Who's the female on your team? Isn't Jeannie having a hot girl summer? Jeannie Bouchard?
We have Megan Dizon.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
That's right. I remember that now. That's a great pickup.
yeah. No, it's exciting. It'll be a fun team this year.
Yeah, that's great.
So speaking of MLP, you've been a free agent historically, playing all the tours, PPA, APP, and MLP. You've recently signed a PPA contract for 2026. Was that a hard decision? What went into making that decision?
You know what's fun about Rainstorm is they actually did a taste test, a side-by-side taste test with Celsius, and
Wow.
over 60% of people preferred the taste of Rainstorm. I've never handed someone a Rainstorm and had them not say, "Wow, this tastes really good."
Do you remember one of my old MLP teammates who was obsessed with Celsius? And we had her do a blind taste test. And she was like, I like that one. We're like, it's Rainstorm.
Yeah,
She couldn't believe it.
yeah, unbelievable.
So if you guys support this podcast, support our podcast partner, Rainstorm. Check it out. Have clean energy all day on the court. I know it sure helps me. And if you've listened to this podcast for a long time, you know how much I have more and more become a believer in caffeine being a performance-enhancing drug, a legal performance-enhancing drug.
You've recently signed a PPA contract for 2026. Was that a hard decision? What went into making that decision?
Yeah, I mean the APP has been obviously very good to me, and you guys are really you're throwing the curveballs
Hey,
out
you
here.
know.
I'm definitely grateful for the APP. I love playing on the APP. In a perfect world, I'd be able to play anywhere, but I love playing for the fives as well, and there are a lot of great players in the PPA, and I'm excited to play there as well.
Yeah, I mean, I can say this. If the APP really wanted to keep the players they wanted to keep, they would start competing for those salaries, and they have chosen not to. And that's sort of like what results would they expect if they're not going to come to the table and try and counter offer what the PPA is doing? They're going to keep getting
Yeah, at
this
the end of the
result.
day,
So obviously they're
we have
fine
a
with
short
it.
career. We have to make sure that we maximize it. Um, that's the biggest
Well,
thing, honestly.
I think I've yet to meet someone who disagrees with this. You can put it in the YouTube comments if you do. I think Will is a top 10 male in the world, not just looking at one tour, two tours, or this segment, just across all players globally. And there are more top players on the PPA. You want to go test those skills. Like, I get that. And so I think it's also hard for you because you are on this amazing team with the fives, and now you can't
Yeah.
play MLP if you're unsigned. So you're left in this position where it's like you either sign or they make some special exemption for you, which probably is not going to happen. So I can appreciate how tough and nuanced the decision is. Not to put
Yeah, it's
words in your mouth.
definitely a tough decision, but I think it's the right one for the long term.
Yeah, no, we're excited to see you continue to thrive and see where this year goes. I mean, looking back to that Sacramento meeting, that was like the first event you didn't have to go through qualies, and then 3 months later, you're basically the top player on the tour. So if you look at the span of 2024, where you were and where you ended, I can only imagine what 2025 is going to look like. You've already started off a bang with the Triple Crown, so
Thank you. I appreciate
it'll be
it.
fun to see. And MLP's coming up, right? Do you guys play this week?
Yeah, we play in Orlando
Okay.
in a week. I have a team practice later today. Megan and Zane flew in, so we're all in South Florida right now.
Nice.
Get
Super
ready to
fun.
go.
Super fun.
Yeah.
And I have to ask, I'm sure that a lot of listeners want to know, what's it like being on Gary V's team? How much time have you spent around him?
He's fairly active. Ryan Harwood, obviously, you know,
Right.
Ryan is his business partner and he's a co-owner of the team, and he's more active. But Gary, he came to like 2 or 3 events last year. We went to dinner with him a few times. He is exactly as
Yeah.
you would imagine.
Yeah.
Like the way he portrays himself on social media he's the exact same person. He's very down to earth. He's very authentic. And one thing that's great about him is he's approachable from all walks of life, you know?
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of made him who he is. Like
Yeah.
everyone can gain something from Gary.
No, you see a lot of fame stories where people talk about how, oh, my team told me I had to change this and change that about me. I love that. It seems like Gary's story is like, fail, keep failing. One day start succeeding a little, start succeeding some more. Never change who you are. Be that person from day one to day
Yeah.
1,000. And if you're doing it for the right reasons and the right ways, it's gonna pan out. And that's cool to see that there still are people who just can be themselves and go crush it.
Yeah, for sure.
That's cool. Did you have a
Yeah, I have 2 more questions
'cause I have one
for
more.
Will. So I said earlier, obviously you're a top 10 player. You want to go play where there's more top players. Talk to me about the quality of players on the APP versus the PPA, because I hear a lot of people go, oh, Jill, congrats on winning this tournament, but it was on the APP tour where there's no talent. And my opinion is it's hard to win on this tour. It's hard to win on either tour, but there's more quantity wise of quality players on the PPA. The APP is just smaller at the top, but it's hard. Like you look at players like Megan and Bobby, those are quality top 20 players in the world, period. Not even mentioning myself here. I'm talking about other people. Look at you, look at Jack, players like Richard Livernese. Like, talk to me about the quality that you see, or is it just a cakewalk for you week in and a week out?
No, everyone's tough. I treat every match, whether it's first round or finals, the same. Like everyone's very, very good. I think the quality is very high. What I think is the PPA has like a very strong like top, very like high top players, and then like the mid level can earn probably a little bit more on the APP. So like that mid like 15 to like 30 range, you probably get a larger quantity. Or even like 15 to like 40 range, you probably get a larger quantity of in the APP. And then yeah, I would say just like it almost that's how it feels.
Yeah.
It's probably the best way to describe it.
Yeah.
Would you agree?
Well, you look at players like Chris Hayworth. I'm like, oh my gosh, if he was on the
Chris is incredible.
incredible.
Or you
I
look
think
at
I think he's the best singles player in pickleball.
I agree.
yeah, and
He's such a clean ball striker.
PPA had to change their rules just to keep him from proving that, which is telling. Those are just facts. They just changed the rules that he's in the top 50, so he can't play.
You're talking about that if you're in the top 50, you can't go through qualifying anymore.
Yeah, so there's that. But there's also like Eric Onsens, who was sometimes winning medals on the APP, goes on the PPA and he's winning medals. So, obviously people are continuing to improve their games, but it's like you go from not winning on the APP to winning on the PPA. It's not necessarily like you're taking worse, experience. And the field is still letting them through. So I think that proves that the top players, like you said, on the APP would still do well on the PPA. There's just going to be more different roadblocks that you run into in the seeding. But we all know this game gets a lot easier when your seeding gets better. So that's sort of its own self-perpetuating cycle.
Yeah. I mean, there are a lot of cases like that. I mean, Diaskew was a great case. Hunter Johnson.
Yeah.
Even someone like Zane Ford or Lucian Goins recently in singles, like they play, they're very good players. They moved over to the PPA and they've done pretty well.
Yeah.
So.
Do you think that you and Jack, your partner on the APP, could win a PPA event? Where would you put you and Jack?
I mean, I definitely think we're capable, for sure. Anytime I walk on the court, I believe that I can win the match. So, and I know that Jack has the same mindset. He's obviously very talented, and we'd have to play very well, but I think we're capable for sure.
Love that. Love that answer.
And obviously, like we said earlier, it can be so seed dependent. It's like, yeah, put me in the quarters and let's go.
The draws are very important for sure.
Yeah.
So, Will, you talked about the lifespan of an athlete obviously being short. You've already touched on that. And one of the questions I had for you was, do you ever think about what your life will look like after this narrow window of time where we're all pro pickleball athletes? What would you go back to? Or I guess in your case, what would you start or want to get involved in?
After I'm done?
Yeah.
Well, hopefully I have a family, and hopefully I will be well off enough that I can just focus on my family and raising my kids. And
How many kids do you want?
but 2 or 3.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you basically want to
But-
semi-retire after pro pickleball. Damn, Will, that
I mean,
better
that would be
that
ideal.
better be a big PPA contract. You better take care of that meniscus.
No, I mean, that'd be great. That's the dream. But something that you've done a great job of, and that I'm also trying to do, is building a brand for yourself. So that carries through, after your career's done, you can coach, you can do events, you can endorse products, you can endorse brands.
Yeah, speaking of
You
which,
know-
go ahead.
I think that's super important
Mm.
for players to do. And you look at like tennis players, look at Agassi. Agassi's basically trying to build this sport right now. And he's using his brand as leverage to do it, which is great.
Yeah.
I think it's awesome.
Well, thank you for the compliment. I can just tell you that the key is finding a wife who has great video editing, content creation
She's on it.
skills, ideas. You know what they say, don't be too good at a job you don't want. She's like, how do I get out of this?
Yeah, people are always asking me, like, what do you do? And I'm like, I have trouble explaining it too, but somehow I'm never not busy, so I just keep going. But
I mean, doing content stuff is very, very time
it
consuming.
really is. It really
It
is.
is
It's
not
fun,
easy.
but yeah. And there's always someone doing it better, and you're like, I should try and add more graphics, or I should edit it better. I should zoom in more. I should add more sound effects. And that's just like they say like a oil painting, where at some point you just have to put down the brush, and you're like, just publish it, just be done with this, get it out there. But I was gonna ask you because you did buy a home, speaking of planning for your future, correct? And you live in what I think a lot of our listeners might consider the ultimate dream for a pickleball bachelor pad. Tell us a little bit about what life in the house is like. Does anybody cook?
Not really.
I'm picturing a lot of stacks of
kind
pizza
of.
boxes.
We try to.
You do?
I mean, I just ordered like a big thing of overnight oats, if that counts.
Oh,
So I'm
no, don't
Toss
do it.
in a
Oatmeal
jar.
is so
throw some nuts.
2017. Come on, Will.
Come on, we're animal
Good,
based.
good macros. Good macros.
So yeah,
No.
so you got Tanner in the house. Are you
Yeah,
doing
just Tanner and
auditions
I
for
right
the
now.
open room?
Yeah, are you renting out a room in your house? Go ahead, announce it to the podcast listeners.
Well, ideally it would be my girlfriend moves down here and I give Tanner the boot.
Okay, perfect.
Yes,
Perfect.
I like
Yeah.
that plan.
That's the
I
goal.
approve that plan. Sorry,
Yeah.
Tanner.
Tanner's getting the boot. See you later.
Yes. So speaking of other halves, so does she like going to all the events? We've now seen her at most of them. Has she been trying to get to all of the events, or just when
I
it
hope
works with
so.
her work schedule?
I don't know who it's more stressful for when I'm playing though.
Al-
Her or myself.
Always the watcher.
You do
I
eventually
think
get numb
it
to
is. Like I get nervous when I'm watching people, but I don't get nervous when I'm playing.
Same,
Yeah.
It's crazy.
same.
Well, we've been really into this whole consciousness sort of thought train where everything is energy and kind of connected. And so now when I'm on the court, now I feel like I'm also performing because my thoughts are now going to affect Jill. So I have to like create my own storyline of positive sports psychology as she's playing so that I can correctly affect the outcome.
Yeah.
Not
That's
just
fair.
only with my go-to
reset, which is changing the format of my video shooting. So it's like if things aren't going well, it's like camera down, iPhone, you're back. Oh, it's not going well. Got to shoot horizontal for a few points instead of vertical. Okay, back to vertical. Oh wait, no, that was working. I got to go back to horizontal. In emergencies, put
Hey, I
down
like
the
this.
camera.
We're making adjustments. That's good.
Yeah, exactly. You got to adjust
We're always
to their
improving.
adjustments. Hundo P. Oh my gosh. Well, Will, we are so grateful for your time today. You guys follow Will Howells PB on Instagram. Is that the right
Yeah, I think
handle?
that's what it is.
And anything,
Thank you.
how else can people follow your journey and support you?
I have a Twitter too. I just started it up, but I'm not as active on there.
I like it.
Well,
Should I let it
Andre,
fly on
let
Twitter?
it fly.
Andre stopped doing the like positive quotes, so there's an opening for that in the Twitterverse. So maybe you can
Okay.
just slip
I'll get on
into your
that.
favorite positive quotes mode.
Just like a daily positive quote.
Yeah. People miss
That's a
it.
good idea.
Yeah.
All right, look out tomorrow morning.
I love it. I love it. Well, Will, thank you so much for your time.
Give our best to Elizabeth and Hank.
I will.
All right.
And
thanks.
Britt.
Thanks for coming on. So we hope you enjoyed that conversation with Will Howells. We certainly did. What do you think? Do you think that Will and Jack would make it to a semis and a PPA? Maybe one day we will find out. One other thing we didn't mention was this week is MLP. Does anyone care?
What's MLP?
You guys let us know. Maybe we'll talk about it next pod. But for now, that was pod 61. Any final thoughts?
It sure was fun.
You guys, pickleball is joy.
Don't let anyone tell you differently.
We out.
I forgot to say we out.
We out.
This pickleball life.
Ready? I'm rolling. I'm going. Oh, I don't have waveforms. Wait, those are my waveforms. You didn't have waveforms because you weren't talking. Funny how that works.
Just the way you like me. Silent.